In my quiet neighborhood where everyone kept their grass nice and people waved hello, there was one person who stuck out like a dark rain cloud. Linda, who lived right next to me. Most people around here were friendly, but Linda seemed like she really didn't like me. She was always starting fights about silly little things. It all began when she let her dog run around loose so it could poop on my grass. She even told the dog to do it like it was some mean game I had to pay for a new fence to keep her away, which just made her even madder. She yelled that I hated animals and that I was weird, like putting up a fence in a place where nobody has them made me the bad person. Then she started shouting out her window at my kids, telling them off for playing on our own grass, saying they were too loud and annoying. My kids were so little they didn't understand why she was so mean to them. I had to watch them outside just so they could play in their own yard the whole time. I stayed calm and tried to ignore her crazy behavior, but Linda wasn't finished. She was about to do something that would make me really, really angry, putting people in danger and starting a big fight that would shock our whole neighborhood. Things got way worse. When our kids started going to the same school just 5 blocks away when it was raining or really cold, I would drive them going slowly through the neighborhood streets and the busy school area, being super careful to follow the speed limit and stop at every crosswalk and stop sign. Linda, though, had different ideas. She started driving right behind me, really close, her big SUV filling up my back mirror, honking her horn and yelling that I was driving too slow. This wasn't just once in a... Well, she did it all the time, especially when winter came and the icy roads made what she was doing even more dangerous. I couldn't stop thinking that she was timing. When she left to follow me looking for a fight one morning, I got so tired of her bothering me that I pulled over to let her go around me instead of just driving past. Linda jumped out of her car, banging on my window and screaming that my careful driving was making her and her son late every single day. I told her that her kid got to school at the same time as mine, a whole 15 minutes before the bell rang, but she wouldn't listen. I rolled up my window, locked all the doors, and waited for her to go away. What she did next made my mouth fall open. She got back in her car, smiled in a mean way, and on purpose crashed into the back of my parked car. With that nasty smile, she yelled that if I didn't drive faster, I better get used to having a smashed-up car. I was so mad it wasn't just about the damage my insurance could pay for, it was that she did it on purpose with my kids sitting in the car. Her crazy driving could have hurt them, and the way she acted like she could do anything she wanted made it clear she thought nobody could stop her. I wasn't going to let her get away with this. The police probably wouldn't do anything without proof, and I wasn't going to let her walk away without getting in trouble. Our school's rules didn't help us either. Living so close meant no school bus, and with winter being so freezing cold, walking wasn't something we could do. I wasn't going to put my kids in danger to stay away from Linda, especially when I thought she might do something even crazier like drive onto the sidewalk, so I decided to fight back, but be smart about it. I put in 2 cameras in my car, one for the front and one for the back, to catch her doing bad things. Sure enough, the videos showed Linda swearing, honking, and driving too close behind me as I drove the right way. But what I filmed next was way worse than I ever thought. One icy morning when I stopped at a crosswalk near the school to let kids and parents walk across, Linda completely lost it, tired of waiting. She drove into the lane where cars come the other way almost, hitting the crossing guard and a bunch of children. The guard yelled at her, but Linda just screamed back, "My kid comes first!" Gave everyone the middle finger and drove away fast. My car cameras caught every second of her dangerous stunt. I told the police what happened and gave them the videos that showed not just her angry driving, but how she didn't care if she hurt people. I also had my lawyer send her a letter demanding she pay for fixing my car, which I paid for myself to keep my insurance costs low. What happened next was fast and harsh. The school banned Linda from coming too close, forcing her to find someone else to drive her son. The police and a judge, who were shocked by what they saw, didn't just take away her driver's license. Her many times of crazy driving put her in jail, and she had to pay me back for the damage. There was even talk about taking her kids away from her. Linda wanted to teach me a lesson about driving, but she was the one who learned the hard way. The whole neighborhood was talking about the drama. Some people were happy she got in trouble. Others whispered that I went too far. But I wasn't done fighting battles in this neighborhood. Years before, I had faced a different kind of bully. This time it was our homeowners group HOA over my favorite car, a 1989 Toyota Super Turbo. I had owned it since college, keeping it perfect. No rust, no dents, just a shiny classic. I drove on nice sunny weekends for 15 years. I had been a perfect neighbor, cutting my grass and following every single rule. But 6 months ago, the HOA, led by a newly chosen president named Harold, sent me a letter saying my car was too old to park in my driveway. They told me I had to put it in my garage or get rid of it completely. I was shocked. The rules only said vehicles had to be in good shape, which my Supra definitely was. I sent a nice email with pictures of my car asking which rule I had broken. Harold's answer was a meaner letter threatening to fine me if I didn't do what they said within 30 days looking through the rules. I made sure there was no rule about how old cars could be, only that they had to be taken care of, which my car was. I sent another email with more pictures, but Harold kept being stubborn, saying the board had decided that cars over 15 years old made the neighborhood look bad. When I pointed out this wasn't in the rules, he said they were enforcing what the rules really meant. That's when I knew this wasn't about my car, it was about power. The first $100 fine came, followed by threats of a $350 claim on my house. I hired a lawyer who knew about HOA fights, who said the board was doing things they weren't allowed to do. We sent a letter telling them to stop. But the HOA made things worse by actually putting a claim on my home. My lawyer told me to ask the court to make them stop, and we took them to court. The court hearing was like a show. Harold and the HOA's lawyer walked in thinking they would win easily, but when the judge asked for the rule that banned old cars, they stumbled around mumbling about hidden rules. The judge wasn't happy. He said I was right, ordered the HOA to pay my $3, a $0 in lawyer fees, and called for someone to check all their practices after my lawyer showed they had been picking on other homeowners with fake rules. What happened after was huge. Harold and 2 other board members quit the management company, got fired, and the rules were rewritten to stop future problems. Neighbors, many who had their own HOA scary stories, said, "Congratulations" to me, as I parked my Super proudly in my driveway, polished so shiny you could see yourself in it, some even asked me to join the new board, but not everyone was happy. A few called me petty, saying I had turned a small fight into a neighborhood war, making house prices go down and making enemies over a midlife crisis car. The HOA story reminded me of another neighbor's tale. One that happened years ago in a nearby neighborhood when Mark moved into his new house in 2015 with his wife and kids. The community seemed perfect. Good schools, friendly people, and a fair HOA. But in 2016, a new board led by a retired business guy whom Mark called Mr. Baxter turned it into a nightmare. Baxter's rule began with a violation notice for Mark's front door, painted harbor blue, a color that was definitely allowed in the rules. Despite Mark's complaints and proof, Baxter said the shade was too dark and hit him with fines totaling $250. Neighbors faced similar crazy things, fines for a basketball hoop, 2 inches out of place, a trash can left out too long, even holiday lights called too much. Mark realized this wasn't about rules, it was about control. He got his neighbors together, making a private Facebook group that grew to 52 members, all sharing stories of Baxter's mean behavior. They found out the board hadn't held a required open meeting in 18 months, which clearly broke the rules. Mark got 45 homeowners to sign a demand for a public meeting, which Baxter reluctantly scheduled at an annoying 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. 37. People showed up with proof of unfair rule enforcement. Mark showed pictures of other harbor blue doors that didn't get punished and exposed Baxter's neighbor's unpermitted pergola, proving the board had favorites when nothing changed. Mark and 7 others hired a lawyer demanding an end to fines, canceling of violations, and a new election. The board fought back using HOA money to hire their own lawyer, but the lawsuit found terrible evidence, emails from Baxter targeting troublemakers like Mark, and proof of stolen money given to his son-in-law's landscaping company. The board gave up, agreeing to cancel all fines and hold watched elections. They paid $22,000 in lawyer fees and changed the rules to require 2/3 homeowner approval for rule changes. The neighborhood changed, focusing on community over silly control. Mark's blue door still stands a symbol of his victory. Both my fight with Linda and the HOA battles taught me that standing up to bullies, whether a reckless neighbor or a power-hungry board, takes courage and proof. Some call it causing drama, others call it justice. What would you have done? Let the bullies win to keep the peace, or fight back and risk it?